Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my first VOD in Heart of the Swarm. We are going into a Terran, no, actually not a Terran versus ZerG. We have Tarrantius, who also starts with a T, but he is actually Protoss. The player who starts to the bottom left of Newkirk City here in our first Heart of the Swarm video is Dimaga, on the other hand. He's still using the account MTW Dimaga, but of course MTW disbanded already, so Dimaga is currently teamless. If you are watching this video and you have an awesome team or you have a huge company and you want to sponsor Dimaga, make sure that you contact him. His Twitter account, as far as I know, is Dimaga SC or Dimaga SC2. And to the bottom right of the map, we now have Tarrantius, a German player, a Protoss player. And this is Heart of the Swarm, and I am so happy that we finally have the add-on out for Wings of Liberty, because this is great. I was lucky enough to be one of the official casters for the launch party here in Seoul, Korea, and it was a blast. We had such crazy games, and just seeing all these new features for Heart of the Swarm is brilliant. I played the campaign for the last 3 days, and I have to admit that this is probably one of the best single-player campaigns for an RTS that I have ever seen in my entire life. It was so much fun. The game is amazing. If you don't have a copy yet, make sure that you get one, because the game is really something. There are a lot of changes in Heart of the Swarm, not only because of the new units, but also some of the old things that we have in the game have changed, and we can now finally experience how the pros approach the new game, approach the new units, the new timings, how they come up with new strategies. So this is really at the beginning. The game has been out for like 7 weeks, but of course all these players, and myself included, have already played the beta. You can currently see that Dimaga against the Protoss player is really reluctant to open things up with a hatch first, but goes into a spawning pool instead. He will still try to get the hatch out in a very short amount of time, so don't worry about that. You can already see the drone going over there, being blocked by the probe here. But the reason behind Dimaga's choice is that he still doesn't exactly know what Tarrantius is going to do. Tarrantius might open up with a gateway here, he might start to use the mothership core, or he might open up more traditionally, Wings of Liberty style, with a cannon first. A forge, of course, for the cannons first. And with a forge first play, you are in a lot of trouble if you start with a hatch first, because this will delay your spawning pool. And with a delayed spawning pool, it takes quite a while for you to actually get the first few zerglings out there. So with a spawning pool first, you're always a little bit safer than you would be with a hatch first, even though it gives you a slightly better economy. Dimaga now with the scout is here in the main base of the Protoss player. Sees now not only that we have the Nexus here, but he will also try to get a glimpse of those 2 additional gas to try to figure out when exactly the gas guys are being taken. And actually he's just able to glimpse that. So he just sees that the simulator is being taken right now. He knows now while he's going to the expansion that we have not only the gateway being produced, but also that we had a Nexus first here for Tarrantius. He knows that because of the timing. He sees, of course, the progress bar at the Nexus, and now can determine, well, Nexus is already finishing at 420, so you are definitely starting things off with the Nexus first, but you already have your gateway too. On the other hand, Dimaga is now going for his own third base. This is pretty Wings of Liberty style. This is what you kind of want to do. One of those timings that Stefano, of all people, has developed, where as 420, sometimes even a little bit earlier than that, you're trying to go for your third hatch. So a lot of paths that you can go down now. One of the things that we had changed in Heart of the Swarm is, for example, a few of the new adjustments in regards to Wings of Liberty that help you defend. Let's just talk a little bit about the options that the Protoss player has here first. As a Protoss, you can now go into a Dark Shrine a little bit easier than you would have been able to as in Wings of Liberty, because it's cheaper. So the investment is not that huge. If you go for a Dark Shrine and Dark Templars, you can still go into several viable transitions, whereas in Wings of Liberty it was very all-in-ish style. If you didn't do damage with Dark Templars, then there was just nothing you could do anymore as a follow-up. You would have been behind already. You can still win the game, but in this particular situation, you would have been far behind, which is why a lot of players were very reluctant to go into this style. But on the other hand now, as a defense against DTs, you have the Spore Crawlers available without an Evolution Chamber. You can see here that Dimaga can already produce it, even though he doesn't have an Evolution Chamber. So this is one of the things that have changed a little bit. And at this point in time, what we have for Tarrantius is the Mothership Core. And with the Mothership Core, there are actually a lot of things that you can do. This is one of the new units that we have in the game, and it allows Protoss players to be a little bit more aggressive. The reason behind this is that the Mothership Core has a few abilities that we just have a closer look into in just a second. We have the Photon Overcharge, which is basically an added cannon for a specific amount of time to the Nexus. So you can defend with your Nexus. You also have the Recall ability, which works a little bit different in Heart of the Swarm than it did with the big Mothership in Wings of Liberty. Now you don't actually recall units to the Mothership, but you actually recall the units that are around the Mothership Core to a certain Nexus. So this can really help you in the early game. You can be a little bit more aggressive, go on an attack, and even if you are surrounded, you can always just recall back, which makes it so much easier for Protoss players to be aggressive without risking to lose the game immediately because their forces are caught out of guard by speedlings, for example, with a fast speed. Tarrantius, behind all this aggression, is going for the Dark Shrine, so exactly the example that we pointed out earlier. Also researching the +1 attack upgrade, which will give him a great amount of strength against Zerglings. And Dimaga is a player who really likes to rely on Zerglings, but first of all, nice recall out of there. Exactly what we talked about. One of the Stalkers goes down nonetheless, but this is exactly the point that we've been raising earlier. You can go in, do a bit of damage, put aggression onto your opponent. Tarrantius at least was able to kill 4 workers, and then you just recall with a Mothership and you're still safe. Big problem for Tarrantius is that he missed the timing a little bit, so he lost one of the Stalkers after all. He could have saved both of them, was a little bit too late with it. But now he's here, safe, nice wall, very tight, gets the +1 attack upgrade, has a forward pylon where he can now warp in those 2 additional High Templars. A really great play so far by Tarrantius. He wants to be the aggressor in this game, he wants to move out. But he's moving in now with 2 DTs, and there's already 1 Spore Crawler at the natural, so the DTs have been spotted here, but still a little bit of damage done. Already 2, 3 drone kills, and in the main base we still have 1 High Templar just going wild here. The one over here has been detected, taken down by the 2 Queens with the help of the drones. But in the main base now, Dimaga does not only have to pull all his drones away, but he also lost a fair amount of harvesters already. 4 in total, so this DT really did quite a lot, and now the Queen also dead. 17 harvesters killed in total. A great attack here by Tarrantius. He's now at 57 harvesters in 2 bases against 41, and he doesn't even stop there. He's going for the lava, and this of course limits the production of Dimaga. So great use of the new DTs. Not really new in itself, but the timings are a little bit different here, and he's already experimenting with them, trying to use it. So really well done here. Overseer Morph on Lair Tech finishes things off now, but at the same time there's already a 3rd base on the way for Tarrantius. And another thing is also true for our Protoss player here. He went into a war prison, and he will now go for a bit of an attack with those additional Zealots, it seems. The one important thing to note is that Dimaga is a player who really likes to play Zergling heavy. In Wings of Liberty, what he did several times against Protoss is not rely on Roaches, which was the usual path that most players would go down. He actually would go into Ling Baneling with early upgrades, and this is also true for this game. Dimaga now on 1-1 already, finding this forward pylon and taking it out, and also trying to put on a little bit of aggression at the 3rd base, but the Mothership Core is there. The Zealot has +1 attack, but still, with a +1 armor upgrade for Dimaga, this is not going to be too much of a deal. The thing is, though, we have too many units here. So the attack by Tarrantius could actually do a lot of damage if Dimaga was not Dimaga, but the Zerg player from the Ukraine is now going into the next set of upgrades, and with 1 armor upgrade, the Zerglings are so much stronger against Zealots who only have +1 attack. If you are ahead in the attack upgrades as a Protoss player, Zerglings don't really threaten you because you can just 2-hit a Zergling, but with the attack and armor upgrade situation as it is, we now have a situation where you need 3 hits, so this makes the Zerglings much more effective against Zealots. Tarrantius is not done with this now. He still has a lot of aggression here. He has a really good force, trying to warp in additional units, and once again, the big problem here is really the upgrades. Tarrantius is going into +2 though, and as you can see, Dimaga didn't start his armor upgrade just yet. So that's very important to note. We have 1-1 for the Zerg player, +1 now for Tarrantius, but he will have the +2 attack upgrade very soon. This is, by the way, one of the new tabs that we have in Heart of the Swarm. Very useful, it shows the upgrades. And here's the +2 attack upgrade, just in time to help out against those Zerglings. The Archons, of course, just morphed in. They are so helpful against the Zerglings too, but the Zealots, they are so strong. With this added attack upgrade, this is a much bigger problem for Dimaga than it was before. Which is also true for the Zealots that are now being warped into the main base. Once again, Tarrantius not only limiting himself to one point of attack, but opening up another field of aggression with a War Prism in the main base, warping in more units while putting aggression onto the front of Dimaga. 3 base against 3 base. Very even supply here in this fight. Army supply is dead even, as you can see, and Dimaga is just trying to hold on to dear life. Has once again to deal with units in the main base. A lot of DCs as well as Zealots earlier on, and at the same time defend is natural. A lot of aggression here from Tarrantius. He's really the one who's trying to push this game forward, trying to finish it very early. Dimaga, on the other hand, with a nice defense so far. He's really trying to hold those 3 bases. It's not an easy job, but he is pulling it off so far. He's already on the Hive Tech too. This is one of the things that he was doing amongst all these other things that he had to do. Going into Hive, getting the infestation pit up. Now he can actually get the Viper. For the Viper, you don't need the Spire anymore. You can build it right after you reach the Hive Tech. But one of the things that Dimaga has to do right now is also go into Dragonlance. If you play this Zergling heavy, it's always one of the things that you want to pull off. Another round of Warbinds in the main base though. Dimaga trying his best here, going in with Lings once again. Such a Ling heavy style that he's showing us here. And what you have to do when you play this Zergling heavy is add additional hatcheries. And this is exactly what we have. Macro hatches everywhere. 4 hatches in total and 1 hive. So a lot of lava available. Never underestimate how lava costly actually Zerglings are. So you need to make sure that your injects are perfect. Time Warp, another new ability of the Mothership Core. You can see it here. Slows down the movement speed of units by 50% for 30 seconds. And Dimaga, he saw already that there's a 4th base for Tarrantius. This is exactly what Tarrantius tries to defend here. The 3rd and the 4th, because both of them are being attacked right now. Tarrantius was really in a position where he saw, okay, my aggression is being thwarted, I have to do something right now. What is my opponent gonna do? He's gonna attack my 4th base. He already scouted it. So he immediately warped in units over here to defend, had those extra cannons, and is now suddenly on 4 bases. Dimaga, on the other hand, while Tarrantius is now trying to establish himself with a better economy and go into additional air units, as you can see here with the Stargate, even going into the +1 attack upgrade now for his air units. But while all these things happened, Dimaga added additional tech. He went into the Ultralisk Cannon, as you can see. Let's have a quick look. Ultralisk Cannon is over here at the natural. So with the Ultralisk Cannon, he can also go into +3/+3. Tarrantius now even adding another Cybernetics core here to go for double air upgrades. Really, really interesting play here. And of course, the Protoss also not really trying to just skip any air aggression, going for a move out once again, trying to be aggressive to save his bases and just buy himself some time. Always the Mothership Core with the army for the early recall. Even the Fleet Beacon is now being researched, so Tarrantius can add Tempest, he can go into carrier play, a lot of options that he has here. And the War Prism is still there. Dimaga even going for double bases now. He knows already, well, I'm behind in bases, I'm on 3 bases against 4, I need to do something. I need to go for the double base right now, and that's why he's getting the 4th base, and he's also getting the 5th right over here. Another round of, well, this time it's actually just Dimaga's changelings that we have here, but these units are pretty scary, so Dimaga needs to be careful, especially since Tarrantius had set another set of units at the watchtower and could use them to take down this base. Let's see what he's gonna do. Going into the main base with a War Prism, trying to do some damage here, running to the 4th base immediately with the rest of his zealots, and then using another force to attack the 5th. Really well done by Tarrantius. He's everywhere right now. Dimaga is a little bit ahead in overall supply, has those Ultralisks also on the map. By the way, I love this skin for the Ultralisk, it's amazing. But still, there is so much aggression being done by Tarrantius. He takes down 2 bases, both of them are gone. And the Protoss player is now trying to take down this base over here as well. So a lot of aggression by Tarrantius, who's, yes, losing a lot of supply, losing a lot of zealots, but he still has a good bank with 1,000 minerals. He has the gas, he's on 4 bases. He has the first Void Race in the game. He's building Tempests right now. We have them now built in the main base where all those Stargates are. The big problem for him really is, though, he is not ready yet. He is 50 supply behind his opponent, and Dimaga, with all the Ultralisks that he now has, he decided to just go for the aggression. He wants to take down one of the bases. He knows that he is behind, especially since he lost his 4th and his 5th. Trying to put the aggression on, sees there are way too many cannons, there's a nice wall, and immediately walks up to the 4th base of his opponent, trying to take it out. And bam! Focusing the Nexus here, and boom! It's gone. A lot of damage already done. Void Rays moving in. Prismatic alignment. The charge of ability already being used and doing a lot of damage here, trying to take down the Ultralisks. We also have the Archons moving in. The Tempest with its long range is still doing damage, whereas this 3rd base is defended by all these cannons. A really back and forth game here. Tarrantius going for the aggression, taking down 2 bases. Dimaga on the other hand with a counter attack has the Ultralisks now. But now he realized, well, my opponent is going for a lot of air units. He's going into this air transition that a lot of Protoss players prefer in the late game against ZvP these days. So what does he do? He's going into additional Queens. Queens with the Transfuse are really useful to keep those Ultralisks alive. And that's exactly what he wants to do. 6 Ultralisks, 4 Queens. This is what he has right now, with a maximum upgraded Zerglings that try to do some damage. Always on the move, always on the run, running into an army right now that he can't beat. And look at all those Ultralisks, they're in a lot of trouble. The Tempest do so much damage. Such a great unit for Protoss player now, especially to deal with massive units, deal with Brood Lords, deal with Ultralisks. Zergling still with attempts to run by into the main base, but with the added Dark Templar on hold position, he can't do a lot. This 4th base has to be cancelled again. This is the one problem that Tarrantius has. Establishing this base, Dimaga is just too fast. He's everywhere right now. But Tarrantius is still going for his tech switch, going into the Graviton Catapult, going into carriers right now. And on the other hand, the Zerg player now has, of course, to come up with a plan now. His idea so far is just use these run-bys, use these Zerglings and these Ultralisks to take down a few units. Try to just snipe a base or 2 to keep the economy of Tarrantius as low as possible. A 4-base Protoss player that has enough Stargates is very difficult to beat, and Dimaga knows this. So what he's going to do right now is, he adds more and more Queens. He's already up at 9, but he wants to have more. He wants to have anti-air, and he has a fair amount of Infestors as well, as you can see here on screen. Instead of going into the Spire right away, he decides that it's a little bit better for him to just go into Neural Parasite first. This will help him to Neural Parasite air units. He can use Fungals, he can use the Queens, and then later on he can go into the Spire tech, can make that happen. One of the things that he has to deal with, of course, is that Tarrantius is really heavily committing to this style. He has, as you can see up here, +2 attack upgrades for his air units, +1 armor upgrades. He also has the first shield upgrade, and as we speak, we have him going into additional upgrades as well. So very, very tricky here, and Dimaga has to be careful. He's going into the double Spire now, and with the double Spire he has a lot of options. He can go into double upgrades, he can add those additional corruptors, but here we have this brute force of Tarrantius, who is still down in overall supply, but still he's in a position here where he can try to make his tech work in his favor. Adding now the Storm is very crucial. What you try to achieve with those High Templars is you try to feedback Vipers that we don't see in this game because Dimaga didn't deem it necessary to build them. But you can feedback Vipers. One of the things that ZerG came up with to deal with such a heavy air ball is just trying to abduct the units, getting them into range of, let's say, Hydralisks or Corruptors. But right now he can use the feedback against the Queens, against the Infestors. He can use the Storm against Corruptors, against the ground units, also against the Queens once again. So really a nice correlation here between how well the Storm works against clustered up units and the force in general that forces a massive response from the ZerG. Tarrantius is actually now trying to close the gap in overall supply. He's already at 160 against 170, but Dimaga has this huge bank that he can use to max out, and this is exactly what he does now. Going into 16 Corruptors now that his Spires are done, going for +1/+1, but he won't be able to attack before Storm is done. Storm just finished, and Tarrantius is now even going into the Mothership, transforming the Mothership or the Mothership core into a full-fledged Mothership that has basically the same abilities, also gives you a few added functions, as for example the cloaking ability that is also known from Wings of Liberty, but a very, very high-profile game here. 15,000 resources lost for both these players. If you look at the structure tab, we have now 13 warp gates, 4 Tarrantius, 3 Stargates, whereas Dimaga is on 6 hatcheries and also 1 lair. So a lot of production for both of these players going into this next fight. Trying to make this work here somehow. There they are, Ultralisks once again being transfused immediately. +1/+1 has been started, and look at this battle. Now we're going in. Is he able to get close enough with those infestors for the Neuroparasite? Yes, there it is. Neuroparasite number 1, and the second one as well. Storms everywhere. Just look at this battle. So much area of effect damage. The ground forces don't stand a chance against the Ultralisk. Both of them are dropping in supply. Dimaga is losing a lot here, but Tarrantius can't withstand this much pressure. He's already using his air units against those 2 Tempests that he just neural. The Queen's on the ground, transfusing everything, right, left, bottom and center. The Ultralisk therefore still alive. A lot of Corruptors survived this battle, and Dimaga is now in a perfect position. Remaxed immediately with the production that he had, all those added lava. He's at 200 supply. Even the 4th base, the Tarrantius by now has completely saturated, will not be enough to just remax his army. He's trying to, going up into 130 again, getting all those carriers out now, getting additional Void Rays, but he's really on the ropes now. He has to do something, come up with a plan, maybe use Storm again, but he doesn't have any High Templars anymore. They all fell victim to the Ultralisks. So Dimaga here with an amazing force is trying to finish this game, going for the 3rd base, moving in as we speak. There they are, the High Templars just swapping in. They can keep back a little bit, but not enough. Even the Time Warp here does not save Tarrantius. He's losing his army. And the Mothership core, the Mothership is nearly dead. Focused down by those Corruptors right away. Dimaga with too much pressure, with brute force moving in. The Ultralisk with their new damage type are changing everything, taking down the forces of the German Protoss player. GG, and a very good game here by both of them. Dimaga is the player who takes victory. Really impressive game. A little bit of a different style that we usually see in this matchup these days, with the Ultralisk, with the Queens, and with the Infestors, but a very, very nice game nonetheless. So great performance here, much aggression from the beginning, and it was really entertaining to watch. I hope that you guys enjoyed the game. If you like it, definitely upvote it on YouTube, write a comment, let me know if the sound settings work. Hey, if you want to see more VODs in the future, I still have a few replays on my hard drive from Korean players like Genius and also Symbol. Definitely make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also go on Twitter, add me at Kaldor. I would really appreciate